Paul Signac. B. Paris, 1863, D. Paris, 1935. Signac came from a prosperous family of shopkeepers, which gave him financial independence. He originally trained as an architect, but a visit in 1880 to an exhibition of Monet's work persuaded him to become an artist instead. In 1884, he became a founder member of the Salon des Indépendants, through which he met Georges Seurat. They formed a lasting personal and artistic friendship, and Signac became Seurat's most devoted advocate. An enthusiastic sailor, Signac painted a number of maritime landscapes in a style characterized by tessellated daubs of bright, luminous colors. After Seurat's death, he was pivotal in spreading the neo-impressionist style beyond France, through criticism, exhibitions, and his 1899 manifesto From Delacroix to Neo-impressionism. Lifeline. 1884 co-founder of Salon des Indépendants, exhibits with Seurat for first time, 1886 in nearly 20s, exhibits at last Impressionist show, 1890 first foreign artist to join Les Vignes, Belgium, spreads divisionism outside France, paints portrait of Félix Fénien, 1893 moves to Saint-Tropez, 1908 president of Salon des Indépendants, promotes Fauve and Cubists. Sailing boats and pine trees. Signac painted many seaside landscapes at Saint-Tropez. The ghostly sailing boats contrast with the strong lines of the pines. 1896, oil on canvas, private collection. Portrait of Félix Fénien against the enamel of a background rhythmic with beats and angles, tones, and colors. Signac used a whirling, multicolored backdrop to express his art critic friend's flamboyant personality. This is a good example of the neo-impressionist trend towards a flattened, decorative style that owed much to contemporary posters, Japanese prints, and symbolism. 1890, oil on canvas, 73 by 92 centimeters, Museum of Modern Art, New York, U.S. Closer look. Symbolic decoration. The decorative petals, stars, and spheres denote a kimono sash, the American flag, and the solar system, representing some of Fénien's interests. Henri-Edmond Cross. Bidouai, 1856, de l'Elevandu, 1910. Born Delacroix, Cross changed his name to avoid confusion with Eugène Delacroix, the French Romantic painter. He studied law before attending art school in Lille and Paris. In 1881, Cross exhibited at the Salon, but inspired by Monet he turned from realism to impressionism, lightening his palette at the same time. A co-founder of the Salon des Indépendants in 1884, Cross did not adopt divisionism until his move to the south of France in 1891. However, he stuck to it until his death, exploiting the expressive freedom of the new technique more fully than either of its founders, Seurat or Signac. The freer, brighter, tessellated brushstrokes that he and Signac pioneered would later be adopted by the Fauve. The Golden Isles Cross sun-drenched paintings helped to form the popular vision of the Mediterranean coast, none more so than this hymn of praise to color and sunlight, depicting the Hires Islands. Cross's decorative treatment of the spatial area suggested a possible abstract direction for Neo-impressionism. 1891–92, oil on canvas, 60 x 55 centimeters, Musée d'Orsay, Paris, France. Giovanni Battista Segantini. Barco, 1858, Di Pointierissiane, 1899. Segantini was the only Italian painter of the late 19th century to enjoy a consistent international reputation. He grew up in poverty in the mountains, losing his mother when he was 5 before being abandoned by his father. Segantini taught himself to draw while herding sheep, and after running away several times he finally settled in Milan, attending classes at the Brera Academy and teaching art. From 1878, Segantini gradually replaced his academic manner with a looser style. He relocated to Savignon and Maloggia, now in the Swiss Alps, then in northern Italy. His alpine landscapes of peasants going about their work combined a close observation of nature with a new technique of his. Not unlike divisionism, it used separate, fluid brush strokes of complementary colors to capture the effects of the mountain light. In his later years, Segantini turned to symbolism and was strongly influenced by the German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. Afternoon in the Alps were a constant inspiration to Segantini. He painted many alpine scenes, including this one of a young goatherd. His preferred mountain backdrop provided him with a setting for his paintings, which he tended to interpret in strongly symbolic ways. 1893, Oil on Canvas, Private Collection. Georges Seurat. B. Paris, 1859, D. Paris, 1891. Georges Seurat had a brief but astonishing career, devoting his main efforts to a few very large paintings. While studying at the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris, he attempted to develop a theoretical system for painting that could take Impressionism to a new level and create a template for future artists. Seurat's technique, which he called divisionism, more commonly known as pointillism, was based on scientific principles of color complementarity. It involved applying small dots of primary color directly to the canvas, so that their exaggerated contrasts would merge more vividly in the viewer's eye. All Seurat's paintings were based on formal ideas of composition, and were prepared meticulously from numerous studies. He completed around 60 studies for his masterpiece Sunday Afternoon on the island of La Grande Jatte, see pages 364-67. Lifeline. 1878–79, aged 19, enrolls at École des Beaux-Arts, Paris 1884, exhibits at Salon de Indépendants, meets Signac 1886, exhibits Lane Grande Jatte at Final Impressionist Exhibition, 1887, First Neo-Impressionist Exhibition in Brussels, 1889, involved in Second Les Vingt Exhibition, moves in with Madeleine Knobloch. Model for woman powdering herself, who bears his child, 1891, dies of meningitis. The circus/his dynamic composition brought Seurat his greatest success. It was widely praised by the critics for its undulating music of lines. Seurat used horizontal, calming, vertical, and diagonal lines to convey movement, danger, daring, social difference, and spatial depth. 1890–91, Oil on Canvas, 186 by 153 centimeters, Musée d'Orsay, Paris, France. Bathers at Asnières, Seurat's first exhibited painting, depicting a setting opposite Grande Jatte Island and based on over 20 sketches, took nearly a year to complete. Rejected by the official Salon, it was exhibited at the Salon de Indépendants. Signac was hugely impressed by its monumental ambition. 1884, reworked 1887, Oil on Canvas, 201x300 cm, National Gallery, London, UK. Closer look. Classical proportions. Seurat based his composition on classical principles, including the golden section. The relaxed, immobile figures recall those of Piero della Francesca, see page 100. The focal point that runs diagonally across the picture is anchored by the large seated figure. Silhouettes. Seurat perfectly captures the stillness of a hot summer's day through tonal contrasts, spatial organization, and impressionistic brush_strokes. He silhouettes the figures against the water by balancing light on one side, shown here by the white flecks around the boy's back, with dark on the other. Study 4. The channel at Gravelines evening. Seurat's use of mosaic-like blobs of color is typical of his oil sketches and contrasts with the smaller dots used in the final work. The shimmering surface and calming influence of horizontal lines convey a strong sense of atmosphere. 1890, Oil on Panel, Musée de l'Annonciade, Saint-Tropez, France. Nude. Seurat started his artistic career perfecting his chalk and charcoal drawing technique. This glowing nude demonstrates his skillful use of Conti crayon and charcoal on pitted paper to produce a unique grainy, luminous effect. 1881–82, Charcoal and Crayon, Courtauld Gallery, London, UK. Sunday Afternoon on the island of La Grande Jatte, Georges Seurat 1884–86, Oil on Canvas, 207.6x308 cm, Art Institute of Chicago, U.S. Closer look. La Grande Jatte. Georges Seurat. Seurat's masterpiece caused a sensation when it was shown at the Final Impressionist Exhibition of 1886, and became one of the icons of 19th-century art. Featuring contemporary Parisians at leisure on a little suburban island on the Seine, it is a painting full of contradictions. Solemn yet witty, busy yet frozen, it is a timeless image of modern life painted in an innovative technique, which harks back to the ancient art of Greece and Egypt. Composition. Rejecting the sketchy, arbitrary nature of Impressionism, Seurat built up his complex, monumental composition through a long, methodical process. He began with on-the-spot oil sketches on cigar box lids, and spent 2 years working on the painting in his studio. His meticulous preparations for the final work include about 28 drawings and 28 oil sketches on panel, as well as 3 larger canvases. Adjusting and altering his studies, he removed some characters, and experimented with the relationships between figures as the image evolved. Landscape setting, Seurat does not show the island as it actually was. He left out the drinking and dining establishments, and the nearby shipbuilders' yards and factories. He made several preparatory drawings of landscape elements before painting this study. It appears like a stage set on which he would place his figures. Changing groups. Numerous studies show Seurat experimenting with different figures and groupings. The 5 figures clustered in the shadowy foreground here eventually become 3, while the isolated woman and child are brought together to form a mother and child unit. Distortions of scale. Seurat painted La Grande Jatte in a studio which his fellow painter Paul Signac noted was too small for such a large canvas, which probably explains discrepancies in the scale of the figures. If the painting is viewed at an angle, the figures appear more, but not perfectly, in proportion. La Grande Jatte unrolls before you like some myriad speckled tapestry. Félix Fénien, 1861–1944, art critic. Technique. Seurat developed a new technique based on contemporary ideas about the science of color. He was particularly influenced by Ogden Rood, who proposed that when colors mixed in the eye rather than on the canvas, they created a more luminous effect. In 1885, Seurat reworked his original painting using his pointillist or divisionist technique, covering the entire canvas with regular dots and dashes of pure color. Impersonal characters. Having initially completed La Grande Jatte in the spring of 1885, Seurat set it aside until October, when he painted over the original picture with uniformly sized, directional dots and dashes of color. The final technique complements and emphasizes the detached, impersonal nature of the figures. Border. Seurat painted the border using parallel dashes and dots of red, orange, and blue paint. He varied the color arrangement in different sections to accentuate contrasts with adjacent colors in the painting itself. Magnified dots. This shows the seated woman's skirt against the sunlit grass. According to the theory of divisionism, these closely spaced, almost circular dots of paint appear more luminous because they merge in the eye rather than being blended on the canvas. A couple and 3 women. As he worked on his composition, Seurat made exquisite tonal drawings, using velvety black Conti crayon. He made numerous studies of the woman in the foreground, modifying the distinctive shape of her bustle as he worked. Eye and context. In the studio, Seurat includes a section of La Grande Jatte in this painting of models in his studio, perhaps to show his dot technique applied to both an interior and exterior scene. He later took La Grande Jatte out of the frame seen here, restretched the canvas and added a border of colored dots and dashes. The models. This is the large version of this composition. 1886–1888, oil on canvas, 200 extension 250 cm, Barnes Foundation, Pennsylvania. Characters/story. Seurat has not created a realistic picture of individuals enjoying a Sunday afternoon. Though he began with sketches of figures he observed, he subsequently refined and arranged his cast of characters in the studio. Rather than individuals, he created types from different social classes. Their stylized forms and expressionless or unseen features have an impersonal, artificial quality. Although the painting appears to reflect the ironies of modern city life, Seurat seems have chosen neither to create a readable story nor to make clear, moralizing statements. Group isolation. These 3 figures from different social classes, pipe-smoking, muscular boatman, genteel lady with her book, and dapper, top-hatted toff with cane, would have been an unlikely group in reality. Despite their physical proximity on the canvas, the characters remain psychologically isolated from each other. Fishing and sin. In French, the verb to fish, pêcher, is very similar to the verb to sin, pêcheur, and puns on these words were popular in Seurat's time. Painting a woman fishing may be a visual pun by which the artist identifies her as a prostitute. Fashionable couple: the woman in a fashionable bustle, and her top-hatted partner appear respectable, but the monkey on a leash may indicate she is a prostitute and he a client. Toy-like soldiers reduced to the simplified shape of toy soldiers, these distant male figures may represent the potential catches of the woman fishing in the foreground, see above right. Cheeky monkeys were fashionable pets at the time. However, the monkey is also a symbol of licentiousness, and the word singeuse, female monkey, was contemporary French slang for prostitute. Wet nurse: the distinctive orange headscarf identifies this figure, seen in back view, as a wet nurse. Reduced to a geometric object, she has no character or individuality.